You've always been the best in the room, every room, national amateur champion, undefeated, untouchable. The walls of your bedroom are covered in posters of Mike Tyson, and every morning you wake up convinced, not hope, not dream, convinced that you are next in line. So you walk into that club gym like you already own it. Shoulders back, chin up, the kind of strut that tells every man in the room you don't belong here. You're just passing through, on your way to greatness. The head coach looks up from his clipboard. He doesn't look impressed. He doesn't look anything. He looks bored. He points you toward the ring and tells you to warm up with one of the regulars. The man climbing through the ropes to face you is 35 years old, thinning hair, soft around the middle. He moves like a man whose knees have already filed a formal complaint. You almost feel bad about what's coming. Almost. Pause. The bell rings, and within 60 seconds, you discover that everything you thought you knew about fighting was built on sand. You throw your snappy, point-scoring combinations, the same ones that won you 3 national titles, and he just walks through them. He throws back with these slow, heavy, apocalyptic shots that don't need to be fast, because every single one lands exactly where he wants it. You feel the first one in your lower back. The second one turns your vision white at the edges. By the end of the round, you're bent over the ring rope, stomach hollowed out. That old man hasn't even broken a sweat. Welcome to professional boxing, kid. Beat. You swallow every ounce of pride you own, and believe me, that is a lot. And you get to work. Real work. The kind where your hands bleed through the wraps, and your shins split against the heavy bag, and your body forgets what it felt like to not ache. You train like a man running from something because in a way you are. Months pass. Your professional debut arrives. A small arena that smells like old sweat and stale ambition. Your heart is hammering so hard against your ribs you think the audience can hear it. But then the bell rings, and something clicks. All that noise, all that fear, it disappears. There's only the ring. Only him. Only now. Your opponent is slow, flat-footed. You circle once, twice. Then you drop your shoulder, load your hips, and throw a left hook that travels maybe 10 inches. He goes down like a building being demolished from the inside. First round, clean knockout. And it keeps happening. Fight after fight after fight. These guys aren't boxers. They're warm bodies in silk shorts. Some of them look like they learned to punch by watching a 5-minute YouTube tutorial. But then you pick up the local paper the morning after one of these fights, and you nearly choke on your coffee. The journalist has described your opponent, a man who could barely make a fist, as a ferocious, seasoned veteran with knockout power. And you? You are apparently a fearless warrior who survived a brutal war. You bring the paper to your coach. He doesn't look surprised. He laughs, but it's the kind of laugh that has no humor in it. Cold. Knowing. He takes you to the back of the arena, points to a cluster of men near the exit, 2 of your former opponents, and a handful of other fighters. They're moving through the crowd, fidgeting, stopping people, handing out slips of paper, selling tickets to their own fights, begging, essentially. Your coach says it plainly. In this business, you don't just sell punches, you sell a story. And if you don't have a story, you don't sell tickets. And if you don't sell tickets, he nods toward those men. That's you. Standing in a parking lot, asking strangers to care. Pause. It settles on you like concrete hardening. Professional boxing isn't a meritocracy. It isn't a sport in any pure sense of the word. It's a product. And if nobody's buying, you don't exist. The locker rooms are damp. The stands are half empty. The air smells like antiseptic and desperation. Some nights you sit in the corner after a fight with your gloves still on, staring at the floor, wondering if all of this is just a long hallway leading nowhere. But your coach puts a hand on your shoulder and promises you something. Get through this stage, build the record, and I'll get you a real fight. You hold on to that promise like a lifeline thrown to a drowning man. Music swell, then fade. 15 and 0. That's where you end up after several more months. 15 wins, 0 losses. It looks beautiful on paper. It feels completely hollow. Then the real fight comes. Your opponent is a journeyman, not a gatekeeper, not a contender, but a genuine professional who has been in the trenches with real fighters. The arena is loud. The crowd hasn't shown up to cheer for you. They've shown up to watch the rookie get exposed. The bell rings, and he comes forward immediately. His jabs are sharp as broken glass, fast and accurate, and he corners you before the first minute is up. Your ears ring from the first combination. Your vision narrows. But somewhere in the noise and the pain, you hear your coach's voice. Don't chase him. Make him come to you. Make him spend his energy. So you move, you slip, you counter in small doses, bleeding points, staying patient, while he wears himself down, trying to hunt you. The final round arrives, and both of you are running on nothing but will. Sweat and blood share the same skin. Your lungs are burning. His punches are slower now, but still dangerous. In one moment of careless aggression, you see the opening, and you take it. A right hook, perfect and vicious. He staggers. You press forward and throw a final combination that has the entire crowd on their feet, screaming. The judges score it close, very close, and then they call your name. The referee raises your hand. The arena erupts. And for the first time, maybe the first real time in your career, you feel it. That electric certainty that this is only the beginning. Brief pause. The wins keep stacking. The venues get larger. The lights get brighter. You get used to the roar, the flash of cameras, the smell of a sold-out crowd. Your undefeated record starts generating conversations beyond the back rooms and the local papers. People are starting to say your name in the same breath as the top dogs. Then the promoter enters the picture. He doesn't look like a sports executive. He looks like the kind of man who has never needed a lawyer because problems tend to solve themselves around him. No pleasantries, no handshake. He flips open your file, scans your record, and nods slowly. The way someone nods when they've seen something mildly interesting for the 47th time. Undefeated. Impressive. Then, without even a pause, without blinking, the guys you beat, they're bums. I can find 10 fighters exactly like you in any gym in this city. The words hit you harder than any punch you've ever taken. Before the sting fades, he makes his offer. He and a partner have an arrangement. They want you to step into the ring with a specific opponent and go down in the 4th round. Lie down, stay down, collect $50,000, and walk away with your future in your pocket. He says it the way you'd offer someone a cup of coffee. Matter of fact, business. The rage that rises inside you is not just anger. It's something deeper. It's the rage of someone who has bled for this, sacrificed for this, and is now being told his suffering has a price tag, and that price is his integrity. You look him dead in the eye. You make a counter bet. You want to know my value? Then put me in front of a real opponent, a legitimate gatekeeper. I win. You treat me like a real fighter. You stop treating me like a number on a spreadsheet. You lean forward. But if I lose, you can do whatever you want with me. The air in the room turns thick. The promoter studies you for what feels like a full minute, turning the proposition over in his mind. Then he smiles. Not a warm smile. Not even a polite one. It's the smile of a man who thinks he's just found a new toy. He picks up his phone and calls his matchmaker. Get him a gatekeeper. You walk out of that office feeling like you've just signed a contract written in blood. Pause. You go straight back to the gym and tell your coach everything. He doesn't yell at first. He listens. And then he grabs his water bottle and hurls it so hard against the floor, it bounces off the far wall. He grabs you by the collar and drags you into the locker room, eyes burning. He drops his voice to just above a whisper. That promoter isn't just in boxing. He pauses, checking the room like he's expecting someone to be standing in the corner. He's been investigated twice by federal law enforcement. Money laundering, cartel connections. Nothing stuck because nobody was willing to testify. And the people who were, some of them stopped being findable. He shakes his head, and for the first time you realize the look on his face isn't anger. It's genuine, bone-deep fear. This bet you just made, that's not a sporting contest. That's Russian roulette with a man who doesn't lose. You tell him you'll win, that you're ready. His eyes go flat. That's not confidence talking. That's arrogance. And arrogance gets people killed. He doesn't argue further. Instead, he walks you to the ring where a veteran gatekeeper is already loosening up. He gestures for you to get in. You want to prove you're ready? Show me. The sparring session is a systematic, clinical demolition. The gatekeeper reads every move you make before you make it. Your combinations land on air. His counter jabs arrive exactly when you're most vulnerable. You try to pressure him, try to repeat the strategy that worked against the journeyman, and he punishes you for every single attempt. By the fourth round, you're sagging against the ropes, arms heavy as lead, unable to land anything meaningful. You hit the canvas. Your coach crouches beside you while you stare up at the gym ceiling. He explains it quietly and without cruelty. Journeymen test you for a night. Gatekeepers are built specifically to expose everything that's wrong with you. They are live diagnostics. They find every flaw in your game and exploit it with surgical efficiency. And that, he says, is exactly what your opponent is going to do if you walk in there the same man you were today. Beat. So you rebuild. Completely. You break down every habit that ever served you in the amateurs and replace it with something harder, something uglier, something designed for war. You add muscle. You restructure your defense. You sharpen your counterpunching until it becomes second nature. You stop fighting pretty and start fighting right. Months grind past like tectonic plates. The night of the gatekeeper fight arrives. The arena is at capacity. Noise everywhere. Every person in the building believes they've come to watch your undefeated record end. Your opponent has destroyed 16 straight opponents without going past the 6th round. He is bigger than you expected. His stare across the ring communicates a single message. You don't belong here. The bell rings. He comes out behind his jab, long, hard, punishing. He controls the distance masterfully, firing right hands over your guard, keeping you honest, keeping you uncomfortable. The crowd buzzes every time he lands. A few rounds in, you feel the bruise forming under your left eye and taste blood from a small cut above your brow. But the work shows. You're slipping punches now instead of eating them. You're finding angles. You begin to understand his patterns, the way he telegraphs the right hand with a drop of his left elbow. You file it away. Midway through the fight, he catches you clean with an overhand right that nearly drops you. Your legs turn to water for 3 terrifying seconds. The crowd erupts. You grab, hold, survive, and then something shifts. Whether it's conditioning or will or the ghost of every miserable training session you've ever endured, you start walking him down. Your jab finds a home. Your right hand starts getting through. He absorbs 2 body shots that visibly change his breathing. He's no longer hunting. He's managing. In the championship rounds, both of you are destroyed and driving forward on pure instinct. Then he throws a right hand, the same right hand he's thrown 50 times tonight. And for the first time, you're not where he expected you to be. You slip outside, rotate your hips, and land a right hook that makes the whole arena go silent for 1 perfect half-second before it explodes. He drops. He doesn't beat the count. You win. Pause. Let it breathe. The aftermath is chaos. Press everywhere. The promoter is suddenly very warm, very collegial, very eager to discuss your future. He claps you on the back and tells you that you've earned it. He wants to sit down. He wants to build something. And then, on live television, on national sports coverage, with cameras pointed directly at your face, they ask you about your relationship with the promoter. You don't hesitate. You tell the truth. All of it. The dive offer. The $50,000. The bet. You say it clearly and calmly, looking directly into the lens. And when you're finished, the studio goes absolutely silent. The fallout is immediate. The promoter's people offer you $5 million within 48 hours. $5 million, tax-free. Disappear, recant, call it a misunderstanding. You put the envelope back on the table and walk out. This is no longer about money. Brief pause. Around this time, you meet the kid. It happens on a Tuesday night in the wrong part of town. You're walking back from a late solo run when you hear something in the alley. Scuffling, voices low and hostile. You find 3 older guys crowding a scrawny 15-year-old against a wall, demanding his phone, his shoes, whatever he has. You step in. They leave. The kid looks at you with his chest still heaving, a little embarrassed, a little awed. Turns out, he knows exactly who you are, has been following your career since the beginning, memorized your fight statistics, can describe your knockout of the gatekeeper round by round. You tell him to come back to the gym the following Saturday. He shows up early. Over the weeks that follow, he becomes a fixture, never in the way, always watching, always asking questions that are somehow sharper than they have any right to be coming from a 15-year-old. He brings a kind of lightness to the gym that the rest of you have long since lost. He reminds you why any of this ever mattered before promoters and politics and survival. He becomes something you didn't know you needed, someone worth fighting for, who has nothing to do with the belt. Music under. Your ranking climbs. The mandatory challenger designation follows. You are now the official #1 contender. The championship fight is signed. It is real. The title that has lived in your imagination since you first taped those posters to your wall is now a scheduled event on a specific night. And then the campaigns against you begin. Your training schedule leaks to the press. Strangers begin appearing outside the gym. Anonymous calls come at 2 and 3 in the morning. As the fight date approaches, the pressure escalates. They follow your car. Someone tampers with your hotel room. One afternoon, a group of men approaches you outside a restaurant, and they are not there to talk. But fear requires a gap between who you are and what you're facing. After everything you've walked through, that gap has closed. You aren't afraid of these men. You are barely aware of them. You tell your promoter this. He, for the first time, looks genuinely unsettled. He advises you to step aside, take a voluntary loss. He says the people backing your opponent are beyond his ability to contain and beyond yours to survive. You look at him for a long moment. Then you shake your head and walk back into the gym. Pause. The night before the championship, you go to the cemetery. Soft music. Because a few weeks after your mandatory challenger announcement, on a warm evening following a quiet dinner at a small diner in your neighborhood, a motorcycle came out of the dark. A masked rider. Shots that split the silence like thunder. Then the sound of tires screaming away into nothing. The kid dropped before you realized what had happened. You knelt in the street with your hands pressed against his chest, your voice shaking, telling him to look at you, to stay with you, that everything was going to be okay. He shivered in your arms and told you, in a thin voice, that he was cold, that he didn't want to die yet, that he wanted to see you win the belt. You told him the ambulance was coming. You told him he was going to be fine. But your hands already knew the truth, because the warmth was leaving. Pause. At the cemetery, you set flowers against the headstone. You don't say much. Just, watch me, kid. I'm bringing it home. Then you stand up, and you walk toward the fight. Music builds. The championship night arrives. The arena is beyond anything you've ever experienced. The noise is a physical force. The lights turn the ring into the center of the entire universe. Your opponent is every inch a champion, poised, athletic, beautifully prepared, moving like he was engineered for this. The early rounds are a chess match conducted at violent speed. He is fast, technically precise, using angles and footwork to create distance and land his shots clean. You match him. You trade. Nobody gives ground. The crowd doesn't know who to cheer for, so they just scream. Then he catches you with a left hook midway through the sixth that folds your legs. The crowd inhales as one. You do not go down. You do not go down. You hold, survive, reset, and then you walk forward. The second half of the fight belongs to a different kind of fighter. Not the smart, patient tactician you walked in as. Something older and colder than that. You press. You make him fight in a phone booth where his beautiful technique counts for less. He throws combinations that would have finished lesser men, and you absorb them and keep walking. His eyes begin to show something they haven't shown before tonight. Uncertainty. Because he has never been to these rounds before. He's been fed carefully selected opposition his whole career. He has never been in deep water. You live there now. His movement slows. His output drops. In the final rounds, he's defending more than attacking. and the calculations behind his eyes are panicked ones. And then, the moment. He reaches for a desperate straight right, overextending, and you're not there. You slip outside, drop your weight, and unleash 3 shots in under 2 seconds. Hook to the liver, uppercut through the center, right cross to the point of the jaw. The sound is something the crowd will describe for years. He falls and stays fallen. The referee counts. The referee waves it off. Silence. 1 full beat. You are standing in the center of the ring. Blood on your face. Sweat on every inch of you. The belt in the hands of the commission official, moving toward you. The stadium is shaking. The announcer thrusts a microphone into your face and asks you what you want to say. You look past him, directly at the VIP section, at the suits and the deals and the men who tried to buy you and bend you and erase you, and you say it clearly, into every camera pointed at your face. I don't care about your dirty business. I never did. I just wanted to box. So bring whoever you have, every last one of them, because I will knock out every single man you put in front of me. They buckle the belt around your waist. You've won. Pause. In a dark room, in a location that doesn't appear on any map, a television glows. A man sits watching the broadcast, the celebration, the confetti, your face on the screen. He doesn't react. He doesn't applaud or curse. He simply points at your image, slowly, deliberately, like a man marking something on a list, and signals to the person standing in the shadows behind him. The television keeps playing. The music swells. And somewhere, the next chapter has already begun.